Welcome to another amazing studios session. Subscribe to the Postal Blue Podcast on all streaming platforms and check out Amazing Studios on YouTube for video content. Also follow the Postal Blue Podcast community on X, formerly known as Twitter. We appreciate all the support we're getting and thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Postal Blue Podcast. We are your hosts, or three of your hosts. I'm your boy Ice, aka LA. That is your boy. Hold on. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Coffey.
And I am your boy, Black Knight. Glad to have y'all with us tonight for our second episode. Hopefully we give y'all some great content to ponder on, to think on, and also hope it generate conversation not only in your household, but in your stations, and hopefully it generate conversation in your branches. And that's where we hope to inspire and cultivate other people into going out and talking about issues. And the more you talk about something, the more you shine light on something, it can help change things. Because we are the grassroots. We are the people in each and every craft. And this is just not for carriers or custodians or clerks. This is, or not even, it also can help management as well. We want to talk about topics that we know are near and dear to our heart.
You gave him the whole spiel?
Gave him the whole spiel that, we want to generate conversation that bring about change, not just, we don't want to have water cooler talk. And that's all it is. We don't want to be upset for a day or upset for a week and then back to status quo. We want to be upset until change comes. We want to promote positive change and understanding that we are the people who will make the post office great. And the post office gave us a great opportunity, and we want to thank them by making the company greater. We don't want to just status quo. We want it to get better. We want to evolve, and we want to move forward. We want the company to prosper, and we want to prosper as well. And the way we do that is talk about the issues, be upfront about the issues on both sides. And sometimes we got to have uncomfortable conversations. And that will be with not only with craft employees against management, craft employees against craft employees, and also sometimes there's going to be craft employees against their own union. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror before you go start talking about other people's business. And sometimes you have to go talk to your own union about things that are plaguing your branch and plaguing us as a whole. So it's all about conversation, and conversation we know rule the nation, and conversation will change as long as we continue to ask for effective change.
Okay, with that said, last week we did the new foundation, right? We laid the blueprint for what the post office is in its current form as of 2024 from the craft and station level point of views, right? Based on personal experience. And sad to say, it's not in the best state. To reiterate very shortly, before we get into today's topic, which is the ongoing contract negotiations, is again before COVID. I think carriers was coming in, and we talk about the carrier contract on this one. Before COVID, people was coming in at $16 and some change. It's going to vary in that $16. Some people came in at $16.50 before me. I came in at $16.76 or $16.79. So along that, this is second quarter of 2019. Some people came in at almost $17 by the end of that year. Right, so around the $16 range. This is lead up into COVID. I came the same year as COVID officially kicked in the fourth quarter of 2019. It was officially a pandemic in November, December range. Right, in 2019. There was a lack of support for carriers during that whole 2-year run We could say if the
Yes.
pandemic lasted a good 2 years, there was a lack of support for carriers. There was the lack of structure. It was almost like management could do anything because the mail is more important than your safety or your life or your health conditions or whatever the case is. They didn't stick to the 12-hour policy. A lot of people coming in didn't know that there was technically a 12-hour rule. And even if the post office don't want to recognize it during that time period, law says that there's rules and regulations. OSA says there's rules and regulations for you attempting to work people 16 to 17 hours a day or whatever the case is, right? And we don't think any of that was reported, but that happened. Again, personal experience. This is not hearsay. This is not slander. This is not defamation of character. We're not throwing dirt on no one's name. We're both speaking from personal experience. We was here and carrying mail during that time.
Yes.
Coffey was a regular during that time. I was a CCA, not a PTF. I was a CCA during that time, right? I know for a fact I've been there 6 o'clock in the morning, and I know for a fact I've left at 10 and almost 11 o'clock at night. I had to be back up at 6 o'clock in the morning or be back at the station at 6 o'clock in the morning. Personal experience. So with that, lack of also financial respect. They didn't respect our time, therefore they didn't respect our wallets.
Correct.
We got no appropriate wages as far as a raise go that we should have got during that time. We didn't get any type of hazard pay. That every other, from my knowledge, every other delivery company got, including FedEx, including UPS, including DHL, and others who got extra little wages or extra actually entitled hazard pay during that period of time. We didn't get that, right? And we was out there some of the most and longest. We was at every house in the zip codes, every house in the district with the risk of catching it, and we didn't get anything for that, right? And at this point in time, I think coming out of COVID, I think the business model was hurt. I think it was hurt prior to that. We had been going down, but it was really hurt during COVID. And I don't know, again, I reiterate, I don't know if there's a department that specializes in retail and creating products, but it looks like we don't sell nothing.
Nothing.
You know when they talk about budgeting because we losing money, but whose job is it to go make money? You know what I'm saying? Whose job is it to create products to sell?
Right.
Where's them people at? Why do they still have a job if they're not creating products and we don't have products to sell? You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. And right now is we in the big budget cuts, and this is the state that we're in now. Supposed to be budget city in the post office. We're doing all these cutbacks and all these whatever the case is. Although somehow we still hiring supervisor positions making $80,000 a year, but we're supposed to be cutting. We cutting, but we adding $500,000 a year to the payroll by getting another 6 supervisors who don't do nothing
at all.
That don't make sense to me, or who don't get proper training or the appropriate training or whatever the case is. To me, that don't make sense. Right? We senior carriers who's already here after COVID, they felt the type of way. A lot. This is snowballing into the conversation. They was feeling the type of way, right? If you look at the new carriers that's coming in now, they're making around $23 an hour. I think last time I checked, it was $23.19. I want to say respectfully, maybe it's the high 22s, but I believe if I recall correctly on that paper for the job fair, I believe it said $23.19. I could be getting it mixed up with another craft, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So let's say high 22s to be on the safe side, or very low 23s, right? And again, if you go back 5 years when I came in at 1670 something, then we talking about almost a $7 increase in the past 5 years. That's the starting wage, right? And going through the pandemic and up until now, they was purposely increasing the starting wage to make the job look more appealing to new employees. They did that purposely. So new employees pretty much went and got like a $7 raise. Maybe you can cut it to like, let's say, a $5 raise, while the people that already work here didn't get no raises.
Correct.
Make that make sense. You know what I'm saying? The people that was already here that was going through the ups and downs, they didn't get no wages. So now 5 years later, you got people coming in making $23 when 5 years ago somebody came in making 16. So guess what they at right now, 5 years later, around the $23-24 hour mark. So then what happens to my 5 years if I'm at, it's just all hypothetical. I'm talking numbers. These are real numbers though. If 5 years later, if I'm at 24 and someone coming in making 23, what was my 5 years worth? I could have quit 5 years ago and then just applied now and came in at 23. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to go through having COVID. I didn't have to go through health issues. I didn't have to go through ridiculously long nights, and I wouldn't have had to do that, and still could have came in with whatever wage we had now, which is like the 22, 23. That goes into this contract, right? This is what we here for on this show.
Yes, sir.
If you want to hear me go about kind of more in depth on that, listen to the first episode. Well, at least not the first episode, but that episode, which is trailer, is really the first episode. Go listen to the new foundation. I talk about an hour. I go through the periodic of what happened in order pre-COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. That sets the ground floor for everything we're gonna do going forward. So you will be able to understand where people are coming from, right? So we don't have to keep backtracking. For people who don't know, I created a whole episode just for that. That's gonna stack on top of that. So now we're in a contract, right? I think our contract ended March of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. March 2020. Well, that contract ended March of 2023, and now it's August of 2024, and they still have yet to settle on the new contract, which means we haven't gotten a raise because there's no contract that dictates what that wage or raise it was supposed to be, right? Now, I was talking to Coffey earlier, and I was asking some questions. Called a couple other people, also asked some questions. And a lot of carriers seem to be lost or unknowledgeable about what the NALC is negotiating in the new contract on their behalf. Now, I was asking Coffey. I'm let Coffey get into it, but again, I asked Coffey, and once we thought about it, I was like, man, I don't think I was notified on what we negotiated, because I don't believe I ever talked to somebody on what I would like. I don't believe that I ever took a poll on what I would like, or like out the contract, or like in the contract, or what about the money. I think they're negotiating $30 an hour, but who said that I was willing to accept $30 an hour? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When did we make that that decision? And I definitely feel like the craft employees should be more active into knowing what their contracts are, or what's being negotiated for them, right? And what's being negotiated against, like what they're for and what they're not for in their contracts, by people that's in the same contract, but they're not technically in the same field. You know what I'm saying? NALC is NALC, but the people that's negotiate your contract don't carry mail. You know what I'm saying? The people that negotiate your contract don't drive trucks. They don't mail handle. They don't clerk. They don't custodian. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that. So how you know what I might need on the ground floor when you far removed from the ground floor? You know what I'm saying? So I'll let Coffey go ahead and speak his piece right quick.
I mean, it's self-explanatory that it's definitely a disconnect on what is going on, and we don't even know the people who's responsible for getting us a great deal or a bad deal. We don't even understand. We don't know those people. That's a huge deal. They don't put out polls to say, hey, what would you guys like to see in a new contract? And let me say this, because I know somebody going to be like, well, you're never going to get everything. Well, at this point, we never get nothing, because we don't ever say, nobody asks us what we want. That's like the craziest thing that's going to be in this contract, that's been in every other contract since it hit, was Article 3. Management has a right to do it. I'm paraphrasing, do what the hell they want to do. Then why do we have a contract? Who is nothing you can bargain for that.
And what's crazy to me, that kind of like contradicts the whole contract.
Correct.
and I mean, I'm not a professional, but I would definitely be trying to make some type of case that, man, that's almost like void, man. That's like saying, hey, Coffey, let's make a contract that Davis versus Mayweather, right? I take Davis, you take Mayweather. We're gonna do $1,000 bet on Davis versus Mayweather, right? We're gonna sign a contract that says we both put $1,000 on the line. I got Davis, he got Mayweather. But I'm gonna put in there as well that if Mayweather wins on his behalf, right? Because I got Davis, that me paying you is up to me. Right. But if you win, you have to pay me.
Correct.
But there's a stipulation. Remember, the first stipulation is $1,000 wager both ways. But then there's the second part that says I can choose if I want to pay him or not. But his part says that he has to pay me. What type of contract is that?
It's backwards.
When it contradicts the other part of the contract that says that you have to do something, and then this part says kind of like if you want to. That don't even make sense.
It makes no sense. It's the part of the contract that is. Let me say this first. I'm not saying that the union is in bed with the post office. But if somebody says that to me and say, the reason I believe that is because they let them put in Article 3, I have to say, hey, it's a possibility at that point. It's a lot of things that's in the contract that makes no feasible decision. Though it doesn't make sense because, think about it, I can force you every day. If you know what I'm saying, if I need to be, if people don't show up to work, you got to work 10 hours. That's every day. Whereas it's carriers at stations, clerk at stations that don't have people there. More likely don't have people because you have bad management in that station. Let's call it what it is. Then you turn me into a bad employee because I got things to do after work. And you're going to hold me 2 extra hours. But I can't come to you and tell you I got something going on in my personal life that I need to leave 2 hours ahead of time. They'll tell you you're crazy. So if I'm crazy thinking I can leave 2 hours early, why is it okay for somebody to say, hey, well, you got to stay 2 hours? The contract doesn't make any sense. At one point in time, maybe it did. I mean, it makes no sense that I have to, if management breaks the contract, why don't we have a body or an organization separate from the union and separate from management that automatically pays me when they break the contract? I grieve it. I show you where they broke it at. We look at it and we say they broke it. And I'm talking about simple stuff. I'm not going to get into.
That's also a prime example, Coffey. If you file, you got a grievance, you filed a grievance, you win the grievance. Management's supposed to pay you. You're supposed to get your money on your next check, but then they turn around and say, we'll pay you when we feel like it.
Correct. Knowing that they do not supposed to mess with the grievance process. Because I tell people this all the time. The grievance process is only supposed to take 30 days, bro. You should, more likely, the most simple things don't take that long. You came into work one day and you're a utility and you're supposed to have been on the route. They said, no, we're not gonna let you be on the route. We're gonna let this person be on the route. You know you're not supposed to do that. Whatever, grieve it. This is what management says to you. Grieve it. So if their mindset is, oh, we're gonna pay you, cool. It's not their mindset. Their mindset is, I'll pay you whenever I feel like it. But
also what I take from that in that moment where they say grieve it, That's telling me that you just broke the contract.
Correct.
And you don't care that you broke the contract. If you didn't break the contract, you wouldn't have told me to grieve it.
Correct.
The grievance only comes when the contract is broken.
Absolutely.
So they're knowingly breaking the contract continuously. I don't mean like once in the blue moon or just in emergencies. On a daily basis.
They are
They just breaking the contract and then selling, hey, just grieve it. And then, you know what I'm saying, whatever extra you're supposed to get from the grievance, when I choose to pay you is when I pay you.
And then I know I'm gonna have stewards on here. I know I'm gonna have a lot of knowledgeable people on here. And they're gonna come back and say, well, when you grieve it and you go non-compliance, and if they don't pay it, bro, let's be honest. The old way of doing things is old. They got our playbook. They know what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. They got our playbook. And then let me just say this on the union behalf, because I want to make sure I say this. And to craft employees, it's trash that a steward got to call you 15 times to get a statement. That's trash. You see something happen to one of your fellow co-workers. I call them my brothers and my brothers and sisters in arms. It's trash that you don't have their back.
And I'm a piggyback on that right quick before we get back in the contract. Right, I'm gonna add something to what Coffey's saying. Then I'm gonna piggyback on the other part of what he's saying. On one part, when he's saying, we telling y'all in the unions that they got y'all playbook, simplified, management know what you not gonna do.
Facts.
They know the extent of the limit. Union not willing to tell their carriers or their clerks to do this. They ain't never willing to go to the extreme, and they ain't never willing to cross this line. So we could continue to do this because worst case scenario, they're gonna do this and still just tell the people, hey man, just follow your instructions and file a grievance. Which I'm not doing because they don't pay grievances.
Facts.
Now, they might argue, hey, because look, okay, just something about me. I feel like if something happens, contract is broken, and a grievance is filed on Leonard Anderson's behalf, and Leonard Anderson is not paid on the next available payday or the second pay period of that, to me, that part of the contract is null and void at that point in time. That's null and void. So at that point, I feel like I'm never gonna follow those instructions again. And when you say, "Oh, you gotta follow your instructions and file a grievance," well, if you're not paying the grievance, then what's the point of me following my instructions? Right. The whole benefit of following the instructions is following the grievance to get paid. But arguably, I can argue that you'll never pay me. You'll never pay me. So that's like, hey, Coffey, give me a ride and I'll pay you. You know what I'm saying? I'll pay you when we get there because I ain't got no cash. I might get that off one time. Then I hop out the car and run off on Coffey. How many times can I do that and Coffey still go for it? Hey, Coffey, let me get a ride, man. I'm going to pay you when I get there.
Nah.
Then I never pay him when we get there. I'm violating. How many times you think somebody going to continue to let you violate and they know what you're going to do? The whole point in you paying me is to make up for violating. Technically, you're supposed to acknowledge the fact that you violated. You sign off on the grievance, you pay the grievance, and then technically you shouldn't be doing that act again.
That correct.
Management would do it again the same day or to somebody else or the next day. The acknowledgement on the grievance process and you losing the grievance is acknowledgement that you was wrong in what you did. You shouldn't do that no more. Now that it was proven that you're wrong, why they still do it? Because they don't care. They don't care about what you got for you. They don't care about your rights. That's what it comes off as. I don't know. Now again, I've been someone that's been on the desk. I don't operate the same way, but I've seen it. Just before people get to hopping out the window, man, I'm not biased. I'm very down the line on by the contract for better or for worse. Technically, we should be on both sides because the contract is a negotiation. I'm for certain things in the contract. I'm against certain things in the contract. I've been on management side to a degree, and I'm a carrier by trade. So I see it both ways. I've been on the floor and seen how people on my side get away with things. I've been on the desk and seen how these people get away with things, and I see how the other side try to take advantage of, because I've been on both sides. So I've been a carrier and seen management trying to take advantage, and I've been on the desk and seen carriers trying to take advantage. Well, my bad. The first time I've seen management trying to take advantage, supervisors, managers trying to get over on you, treat you a certain way. Then I've been on the desk and I've seen like, dang, these clerks trying to get over, these carriers playing games, these whatever the case. So I've seen it on both sides. But like everything say, it starts at the top. This at this point, this is just the environment that we in, which always seems to come off like a hostile environment. Is what it comes off to be, right? The second part of what Coffey's saying, I was saying this to Watkins. Shout out Watkins.
Watkins, what's happening?
She's a carrier and also a steward, right? Me and Watkins was talking the other day, and I bring up the rally. This to Coffey's other point about the people writing statements, not writing statements, not standing together, right? We did a rally in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee specifically. Was that last year?
Yep.
In front of headquarters, right? And the NALC had got a speaker on behalf of the Milwaukee Transit, I believe, union. I don't know the name of their union, so my apologies, but got a representative on behalf of them to kind of give words, you know what I'm saying, to kind of like back up our union to a degree, right? To say that, you know what I'm saying, we should be some type of unit. I felt some type of way. And I felt some type of way, and I didn't say nothing until I was talking to Watkins, really. But I felt some type of way and thought about something that whole time. And it didn't really come to my mind until this year, right? When a lot of things didn't happen, or over the past year, when a lot of things didn't happen, and a lot of people hasn't stepped up or did whatever their part is. And that is our senior union, I say it like that, is the APWU. At least under the APWU, at least that I know of, there's possibly 4 unions that I know of. At least 3, because I think the material handlers union or the mail handlers union is different than the clerks, I would assume. But it's at least 4 of us, which is for carriers, for clerks, for mail handlers, and for truck drivers, right? So I'm assuming it's at least 4. At that rally, when we talk about a hostile work environment, and we talk about being harassed, why did we have to go get a Milwaukee Transit union who not even federal, and we got 3 other unions that we work with under the same working conditions? You ever thought about that, man? You know what I'm saying? We work with clerks,
crazy,
mail handlers, and truck drivers who we all in the same hostile work environment at times, quote unquote, right? Depending on where you at and how you feel. Yeah, that's, you know what I mean? Everybody's own perception and experience. And we had to go to the state representatives to get a union that outside of us. And you could go right downtown, across from downtown. The APWU has a building right across from downtown, and they represent 4 unions that's all in the same building. And we work with them. So if the carriers are saying it's a hostile work environment, possibly, then most likely the clerks is saying the same thing. At this rally, they talk about hostile work environment. Why everybody else not there? Why it wasn't a necessarily a carrier rally,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Where was the clerks union reps or anybody on the clerk side just to come down there and say, yeah, man, we tired of this. I work in the same place. Where was the mail handlers at? Where or their union reps? Where was the truck drivers at and their union reps or their union reps? And we all work in the same facilities. That was crazy to me. You ever thought about that, man?
Yes, it's no unity among the group. It's like, my thing is this.
Y'all make sure to hit that share button. You know what I'm saying? Because we going in on this one. You know what I'm saying? We're a little bit off track, but we're gonna get back to the contract, because this is relevant to what we're saying about being in the know on what somebody is speaking for us and not being in the know of. Go ahead, Coffey.
Correct. The thing is, we have to get to a point where the reason management doesn't care because they know we don't care. That's just truth. You listening to this, I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you watched management do something to somebody else and you said nothing? You did nothing. How many times have you talked to a steward or you try to talk to somebody else in the union and they told you something and it really didn't answer your question? You were just like, you got tired of it and you like, don't worry about it. I don't even care. No, you never can get tired. When you in a fight, you can't rest in a fight. You can't rest. We're in a fight. Management is coming to win. They are dead set on making sure they can get slave labor. Now, if I said that in the union meeting, they were like, ho, don't say that. What do you mean? Management could put me on EP and then pay me when they wanted to. I went on EP, got paid the next year. I put on EP in October, then get paid until the next year in August. Let that set in. That comes because I'm not afraid of what you're doing. When the last time you heard the union saying, hey, guess what we're going to do? Everybody on their off day, since they don't want to come up and get these contracts up, everybody on their off day, because we all have an off day, we're going to go down to the local headquarters. Whatever the main building in your state, in your city, in your town, hey, we're going to have some lemonade, we're going to have some water, we're going to have some balloons, bring your whole family. This affect your family, right? The contract affect your family. Who wants to go home and tell their kids, we can't go to the state fair because daddy doesn't make a livable wage? And your kids say, well, Dad, I don't understand. You're working 10, 13 hours a day. How are you not making money? How do you go home and say that to your wife, to your husband? How do you say to your mom and dad that the Social Security doesn't pay them enough and you're supposed to be helping them? I don't have it. You don't have it because you don't want it. It's got to be personal. If it's not personal about this contract, then I don't know why you're still working here. It has to be personal that, hey, we don't know what they asking for. It has to be personal that we don't know who asking for. It got to be personal that we're not getting the information. We're not getting it through social media. We're not getting it through our branches. We're not getting it through our stewards.
Or you have to, like I did, go to 5, 6, 7 different sources just to piece some things, possible things together, and you still don't got it all at all. So far, I've known maybe 3 things that they might be negotiating on. But I done went to multiple sources. I should know everything if it's pertaining to me and my money, my career.
Right.
I should be able to find this somewhere. Like everything. I should have got something in the mail. I ain't say you necessarily got to get a phone call, but all of us should have got something in the mail that gives a whole rundown on what's going on. When, again, prior to that, though, everybody should have got something to take a poll to at least to let their voice be heard on what they even looking for. And I can't find no one that said that they seen this poll or took some type of survey or whatever the case that gave the opinion to their union or union steward or whoever for them to negotiate on their behalf to the best of their abilities. I've yet to find a carrier that said, yeah, you know what I'm saying, I told dude what I want and that's what they going to get. So right now I don't know what they're going to get. What are they going to get, and what are they trying to take out the contract? What are they trying to put in the contract, and what are they trying to take out the contract? I should know everything if it's pertaining to my future.
Correct. I don't know if people know this. UPS used to fly our packages wherever we need to go. Now we're not with UPS no more. We're with FedEx. Well, FedEx in the United States Postal Service agreed on April 1st on a 5-year partnership with them. They can go outside and agree with people. But the people who come in every day work their butt off. Because when I was a CCA, I was a lousy father.
Hey, side note, they also negotiated that contract for that $1.25 a package for Amazon.
Correct. So they can get deals done.
I believe it's $1.25. I could be mistaken. I'm pretty sure it's $1.25. Do your research.
They can get deals done. When the person that they're dealing with is not finna play this, oh, let's talk. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. The money in my bank account talks to me. So guess what I need you to do? Add them zeros. You don't want to talk? All right, cool. How is it every time it's contract time, we are working under the old contract?
Every contract.
Every contract. Who else in business wants to work under a old contract? You know the end of the contract coming because we usually almost 1 year in the contract in the contract before it gets signed.
So that's let me clarify, right? So remember I said earlier, our old contract for carriers ended in March of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. March of 2023. This is August of 2024, and we've yet to settle on the new contract. Now, when they do settle on the new contract, that's going to have to be backdated to when it was supposed to start. Meaning, let's just say by the end of this year, everything is settled. We're already almost 2 years into the new contract, and most of the contracts only last 2 to 3 years. So we'll be halfway through, if not majority of the way through, the new quote unquote contract by the time it actually gets finished. And technically should be starting the next talks right after this for the new one, technically. You know what I'm saying? Because we behind. So I don't know.
And that's the part that should offend you the most, is that they keep every year, they don't value us. Like me personally, if anybody asks me, I'm like, hey, the strike clause, we got to throw that out of the building. Oh, well, Congress then Congress need to get involved and get the post office on the straight and narrow. That's what Congress need to do. The House, the Senate, the president, whomever. Because if you value me, we would never be talking about a strike.
This is the crazy part, right? Now me and Coffey, we don't always see eye to eye, right?
Correct.
And at times, Coffey could be extreme on things. At times, I could be extreme on things. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the ones that I'm not going to say it. People would say it's extreme, but I don't think it's extreme.
Facts.
I would say F the strike clause, leave it in there. Leave it in there since the government, what we used to call it, Big Brother, wanted it in there, right?
Correct.
So now let's place responsibility. Going back to what Coffey said earlier, statements. Let them continue to harass you. First,
yes.
This is what we need to do. Everyone needs to go look up the definition of harassment on all sides. Said this before. Go read the definition of harassment. Someone who's quote unquote possibly harassing you can't tell you that they're not harassing you.
Correct.
You don't determine if you read harassment. You can't determine that I'm not a victim.
Correct.
Right? Same way with a hostile work environment. Management can't tell you this is not a hostile work environment because you're not in my body or my mind to tell me how do I feel or how you're coming off to me or to other people around me. Because when you're not around, multiple people is feeling some type of way in this environment. Multiple people is talking about quitting. Multiple people is talking about doing this. Multiple people is talking about calling in. Multiple people is doing. So there's something wrong with the environment. You don't dictate if it's not a hostile work environment, right? Y'all need to go look up the definition of harassment, and that's because you need to be using it properly. And then you need to be looking at hostile work environment, and you need to be looking up discrimination, right? And because discrimination it varies from gender to gender. It can be race related. It could be handicap. There's various discrimination levels, right? And going into what Coffey said, statements. Y'all need to be putting paperwork on management
every time.
You can fire a supervisor. You can get a supervisor fired. You can get a manager fired. So if they want to leave the no strike in there, meaning you want us to deal with whatever, cool. Now you gonna take responsibility then, because we should be working our way up the chain. We should be putting paperwork on on supervisors.
Yes.
Then we should be putting the paperwork on that supervisor's manager. If this continues, then it can't just be all the supervisors that come in this place. Then you under your umbrella. So at this point, you the common denominator. If I get rid of 2 or 3 supervisors, they all doing the same thing. And again, you the manager, it's your station. It's happening on your watch. Then I'm putting paper on you next. I think you got to get going. Should nobody be settling for money? I'm going for the manager. Now, this is the key to this, right? Because I've been in this boat. The manager, as soon as you get the manager in the office, they will throw their supervisors under the bus.
Yes.
Man, listen, when you got them lock sync and when you got them hook, line, and sinker, man, they pointing fingers, bro. They snitching.
Hey.
They telling on each other. My manager told me to do this. My manager, he did he? Okay. So now I need to go see him with my lawyer and I need to do another EO on the manager and then get that manager. We working up the line like Frank Lucas family. Now, hey, manager, now we need to see you in here, right? And why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Did somebody tell you to do this? Well, my CSAM. Your CSAM telling you. Okay, we get somewhere. I still want your job though. You know what I'm saying? And then we going for your CSAMs until we get to your postmaster and then your district manager and whoever we need to go up the line. We need to take all these jobs.
Just keep going.
We need to keep going until we get to the postmaster general if need be. EEOs is not on the side of management. Let me clarify.
Yes.
EEO department is its own individual department.
It represents own entity.
Correct. The government. It's an actual, like, its own federal department. It's to make sure that there's a fair working environment across the board for all agencies and all organizations under the federal umbrella. They don't represent management. Some of y'all, I've heard, some of y'all think that what's the point because, the EEO management not going to discipline management. They're not management. You're letting a kind of like a mediator who should be mediating see what's going. It's almost like a judge.
Correct.
Your EEO specialist will be the judge that hears your case. Y'all will have a case, and you as the carrier, clerk, or whatever craft that you in will present your case and your facts. And management, whether it's a supervisor or manager or whoever it is that you put in the case against, will have to present their situation to the EEO specialist. That specialist would dictate what might be true, what might be not, and then what should come out of whatever the case is with whoever wins, if somebody wins this case. Which is why we need to do our due diligence on the craft side, know what it is. When it's happening, when you see it, you need to speak up. You need to write statements. You need to notate time and dates. Build your case. Don't just hop out the window in one situation. I wouldn't, because I'm looking for a solid, airtight case that you did this repeatedly. Because I want your job. I'm going for your job. I don't want to get somebody retrained. Some of the biggest things that you can come out of your EO with is money, which a lot of us take. I say us because it's the craft side. A lot of us take, because I know people that should be out, but they're still here. And I know for a fact that they're still here because people took settlements instead of asking for them to be fired, to be terminated. You shouldn't have took the settlement. You should ask for them to be terminated. You shouldn't have asked don't take them being retrained no more, because they're being taught to do this by upper management, which means they're not going to stop because they're getting instructions to do this type of stuff. So don't go for hey, you know what I'm saying? How about retraining? You feel about retraining? No, I don't feel like that, because he's not doing this under his own free will. We've all been in the station and heard these telecoms.
Yes.
He's not doing this under his own free will. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he a sucker or not, but the person above him is telling him to do this type of stuff. And after this EEO, I don't feel like that person is going to tell him to do differently. You probably just going to tell him to do it smarter. So no, I feel like he's just all the way around corrupt. Cool. He needs to go. And then I work on the person that was giving him those instructions next. And we need to work our way up the food chain. Most stations, well, all stations, the craft employees makes up that station, not management.
Right.
You might have 2 or 3 people in management on the average station floor, You might have 30, 35, 40 employees. That's craft. You might have like 30 carriers, 5 clerks, a custodian, a maintenance guy in there. Oh, man. You got utilities. You might have 40 people in the 30 route station. At least 15 of y'all should be doing paperwork consistently. Building y'all cases. They can't fight it. You can attempt to. This is where the settlement's gonna come in. You can't argue. They can't argue there's not a hostile work environment when half the station is saying that it is, and half the station guys paperwork on days that you did this and you did that and you said this and you said that and then you came off this type of way and you did. Right. It's an airtight case on them, but we ain't doing that. We not using the tools that we got. Management, don't wait for management to punish management. I don't think it's gonna happen. They will throw each other under the bus, but manager's not gonna get a bad supervisor out of there. Your CSOM's not gonna get a bad manager out of there. They all gonna be together under NAPS, the Supervisors Association. They all under one umbrella. They're not gonna. You don't wait on them to do it if you don't see that it's been done. Now we done known supervisors to do some wild things in these stations, and they still in these stations. So don't wait on management to punish management. You got to go punish management. And our voice is bigger than theirs.
Yes.
Craft employees run the post office, not management.
Absolutely.
Let that sink in. If we don't come to work, there ain't no work being done. But guess what? If they don't come to work, majority of the work will still get done. Maybe not all, but majority, which is far more than what got done when they came to work, and we didn't. I've known carriers to come in with no clerks and start doing clerk work. I've known carriers to sweep floors, do something in the back, straight up the bathroom if they ain't got no custodian, and then they still carry mail. They'll go supervise on the desk and they'll go manage your station. Carriers done that all.
I don't clean bathrooms. I don't carry mail that day. Came back and threw packages the same day.
Now check this out. Now when we down, have any of y'all seen the clerk go carry mail?
Absolutely not.
Have y'all seen a custodian go carry some mail, deliver some packages?
Absolutely not.
You ever seen a maintenance tech go carry some mail, deliver some packages? You know what I'm saying? Nah. Craft run the stations. Craft run the post office.
Correct.
Carriers run the station. Because the carriers, on the back of the carriers is going to dictate if your work get done or not. The carriers don't come to work or it ain't going to work for you, then they ain't going to work. It's just going to be what it is. You can report that mail. That's what you can do. You can't do nothing about it because y'all not going to get out and deliver it. The only thing y'all going to do is try to pull people in the office the next day or whenever they come back. But they didn't do nothing today. But what if I'm not there the next day or the next day after that? Or what if I start mismanaging the contract and then just getting out of doing it? Right. Then y'all be mad. When people come back with FMLA, when people come back with restrictions, man, he only doing this because he don't want to work. Then they start saying disrespectful stuff like that to you, belittling you. How much of this the insults are we gonna take?
And half of them on the desk is on the desk because they didn't want to do their job.
Or wasn't good at it.
Usually they terrible.
And most of the carriers, y'all know that. Most of the carriers in the stations know the bad people in these stations. As far as management goes, they know who they used to carry with, and can speak on a supervisor or manager's carrying skills. Like, man, dude was trash. We had to always go help dude. She was always bringing mail back. She was always running whatever the case is she was doing. But you hear the stories about all of them. I ain't gonna say all of them, like every single one of them, but most of them. Ooh, Coffey, you got a buzz going on over there. You got some clippers or something? Yeah. Yeah. Also, let's not forget, a lot of these people that's prior to us that was carrying, let's say carry on the carrying side, that carry mail was shady, doing shady things on the streets back in their day. In the 90s, they carried mail in the 90s and the early 2000s is the reason why we got scanners in the first place. You can't sit here and tell me, yeah, man, y'all got stationary time, y'all playing games, y'all out here stealing money from the post office. Okay. What was you doing back in the late 90s? Because last time I checked, when y'all like to claim mail was so heavy, you had 10 trays. Yeah, you had 9 blocks and 10 trays, and you was done at 10:30. You was in grocery stores and strip clubs in the afternoon. Y'all was at bars in the afternoon. They created whole TV characters on TV and TV sitcoms about y'all, man. Because y'all looked crazy. The guy on Cheers was in Cheers every day on that TV show in the afternoon, because you could look through the windows and it's daylight outside, and he got his uniform on. That was a running gag based on what y'all was doing. They didn't just create that, y'all was doing that. And the world knew that, or the United States knew that. It was a running joke. This is where they come from. Dude on Seinfeld, George, he was a mailman. Dude was never at work. You know what I'm saying? He was never at work. He was always at Seinfeld house. And Seinfeld used to say, hey man, should you be at work today? You know what I'm saying? These shows is in the 90s, man. This was about y'all. Y'all did this. They created scanners to keep track of y'all way before we had packages. Carriers, if you didn't know, scanners started before packages. They created scanners to keep track of the employees of these people that was carrying mail in the 90s and the early 2000s before we got packages. That's what the scanners was for. So person can't tell you that you still in time and they was still in, man, hours, half days, all days. But back in their day. And again, if you ain't carried in this day, I can't speak on if you was good or not. Now, to management side, they gonna act like that don't matter. It matters when you trying to put standards on me, and you never fit in the standards yourself. How can you know what I'm saying? Like, that don't make sense. Hey man, you should be at the office in 45 minutes. Have you ever been at the office in 45 minutes? I'm just asking. You can say yeah, no, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I bet you I can call around and find out though. You know what I'm saying? I bet you I can contact. What station you started at? What station were you from? You do the history. I can call around. I know somebody at every station. I can call them and figure it out, and get the word on if you was good or you was horrible or not, and what you was doing. And then that's not even mentioning the dirt that you done got on your name since you've been on the desk. But we ain't got to go there. But yeah, man, something gonna have to happen. We supposed to talk about the contract on this. We might go into it some, cause we finna be an hour on this. We just cut this one. This one. Once we finish this, we'll end up cutting this into 2. But you got something else, Coffey? On the craft, standing up, representing and using these tools. On that note, y'all make sure y'all check out y'all OSHA guidelines as well, and y'all check out federal law, which both supersedes the post office rules and regulations in instances. So no, nobody can make you do over 12. You can come back in 12 and say, hey man, you still gotta go. I ain't gotta go do nothing. Federal law says I don't. And if you think that you can talk to an attorney, and that's gonna be one of the next steps. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Oh, with that, never be afraid to go into the office, y'all. That's actually where we get it done at, is in the office, because that's where they gotta notate. They gotta notate the things that you saying, bro. You got to get this on paper. This is where you let them know, hey man, just a heads up. In this whatever, they say they writing you up for failure to follow instructions or whatever the case, that they told you to do something that was super improper multiple times or whatever. When you go in there, and they asking you why you so, you make sure after you get your statement, say, hey man, I also want to go on record saying that I'm feeling harassed, and I'm letting you know now that I'm feeling harassed and I've been feeling uncomfortable in this work environment. They got to notate that down. Right? One of the ways that you first get somebody on harassment is letting them know first that you've been harassed. Then if they continue it after that, like hook, line, and sinker, man. That's all we need. and use them in mass. Use them in, listen, a hostile work environment opens the door for all of y'all to do the same paperwork. That's almost like a class action. You get what I'm saying? If management did something, they flew off the handle, threw an item across everybody in there technically could walk out. I've done it. Hey, at this point in time, I no longer feel safe. I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, and what I'm gonna do is, and I put my hands up in the air. I put my hands up. I feel uncomfortable. I feel unsafe. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling like whatever the case, hostile work environment. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like my safety might be in question. I don't know what's going on. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm about to clock out, and I'm gonna leave the premises and contact my union rep, and get up out of there. And they're gonna have to pay you. This is all legitimate stuff though. So don't do this on any given thing, because if you're using it for what it's actually meant for, you can get that paperwork put on somebody, and you should be getting paid, and you will get paid that day, because you're not leaving under that falls on management. That's their fault. So they got to pay you for that. Yep. Same thing with harassment. If you continually be harassed and you in the office, you got to get out there. You got to get, hey man, listen man, I'm doing my best. I ain't walking around talking to nobody. I ain't doing this and that. I'm in my area working. I'm working. Paperwork says from arbitration that as long as it's work to do, I'm supposed to be in the office working. As long as it's mailed a case, this, that, I'm supposed to be doing that. Now, if I ain't doing that, if I ain't over here and I ain't over there and I ain't just walking around, I could be having a conversation while I'm working. I'm working. You want me to get out there by a certain time, but I'm working. You know what I'm saying? And the paperwork says as long as there's work for me to do, I'm supposed to be doing it. Unless you're telling me to delay mail. But also at the same time, you're not finna keep coming over here 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times saying the same thing while I'm in here. At that point in time, again, about your third time, I'm gonna be saying, hey man, I'm starting to feel like you harassing me. I'm working. I'm not over there talking. I'm not just walking around so-and-so. I'm not just whatever the case is. You cannot like the speed on how I'm casing or working, but that's a personal problem. That's on you. I'm working though. So I'm in my right. I'm in the right here. And I'm starting to feel like you harassing me. Make sure you say it at a good tone. Don't be yelling, but you want to make sure that somebody is hearing you, because you have a witness. Hey, and if you're a witness, stop being scared to be a witness, man. If you saw it, you saw it, because with the shoe was on the other foot, we got to get this person up out of here. We got to get these people up out of here. It ain't just me. They just so happen to fall in a trap on me. I'm just so happen to use this tool on them. If they keep coming over here, because best believe they come over here another 1 or 2 more times, or depending on what they say that next time. Hey, at this point in time, I feel like it's a hostile work environment and I'm being harassed and I'm out of here. I'm finna go fill this out, clock out, leave these premises, contact my union rep or contact the union. I'm gone. I ain't finna go. Don't argue with them. Don't go back and forth. This is for both sides. Y'all shouldn't be arguing with nobody. Y'all shouldn't be going back and forth. Should nobody necessarily get a high tone. Sometimes you got to catch yourself. And I know sometimes emotions get high, can run high. We got to catch that though. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you plan on doing what you got to do the right way. You know what I'm saying? Make sure as much as you can that you in the right when you do whatever you got to do. That's how you hook, line, and sinker. You know what I'm saying? When we go in the office, you can't say that I yelled at you. You can't say I called you out your name. You can't say I disrespected you per se. I didn't cuss you out. I didn't use no profane language. I didn't get loud. I didn't raise my voice. I said, hey, I feel harassed. Next time you came, so I said it again. You seem to feel some type of way. I said, you know what? I'm going home, whatever the case. I did things the proper way. I clocked out. I clocked out. I filled out my slip. I gave you my slip. I left the premises. Don't get mad. Don't let them get you there. On either side. Don't let them get you there. There's dignity and respect on the workroom floor. That's for everyone. Carriers, clerks, supervisors, managers. Dignity and respect is for everyone in the station. Everyone on the floor. We all adults in this building. Let's act like it. You cannot like something, management. You cannot like something, craft. You know what I'm saying? But that don't give you the right to disrespect people just because you don't like something. Now, again, we setting the groundwork, man. There's a lot more to be talked about. We already did an hour on this. If anybody got any questions, make sure you go join our community on Twitter. X, formerly known as Twitter. It's called Postal Blue Podcast. You can find it on X. Postal Blue Podcast as a community. Go over there and follow. We upload content over there. We got photos. We talk. You get the heads up on shows. We also got live spaces, more live spaces coming where we pull up people, craft employees, management employees, or whatever the case. They need some knowledge. They got some knowledge to give. We take that too. If they know things, we can, be part of the conversation when we do those live spaces over there on X. But make sure you follow that for more of these conversations, and we will have more of these conversations. For the next few, though, we're finna get into our expectations of the contract.
Subscribe to the podcast for all future episodes and make sure to share with someone. We appreciate everyone, and there's a lot more to come.